Thank you. It is a true honor to receive this degree, and also somewhat ironic, because I applied for a job here many years ago and did not get it. Allow me to explain. It was during a phase in my life when I was looking for a change and applying for all kinds of roles. Most of them were not right for me, so kudos to Mount Royal for their wisdom. My partner, sister, and two of my best friends have even struck a committee called the Save Marianne from Herself Committee, which they still convene from time to time as required. The job of this committee is to help me take the right amount of risk. I have a complex relationship with risk, and I suspect many of you do too, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about today: risk and how to avoid it. I am surprised at how many times people have told me that they admire my courage or willingness to take risks. I usually spin around and try and see who they're talking to, because it isn't me. I am very risk averse. I am not a fan of failure. You might be thinking, well, if you are so risk averse, how is it that you've started so many ambitious projects? It's simple. Risk-taking is completely different than enthusiastically setting ambitious goals and working hard to achieve them. I think sometimes mistake having high aspirations with having a risk-taking personality. Some people think astronauts are risk-takers. In fact, the daily work of the space program is to reduce risk. I want to share with you a story that shows you that I come by my risk aversion honestly, and then I want to connect this to what you might be thinking, which is, I've just spent many years and dollars getting a degree, I followed instructions, I took the necessary steps. Isn't this the time I should be taking risks? Well, maybe. But there are actually ways to build fantastic, rewarding careers by imagining the future you want and then working towards it, reducing the risk of failure. I know everybody talks about failing early and failing often as though it's desirable. It's inevitable, but it's not the goal. My story is about a memorable leap that led me to prefer controlled steps over risky leaps. I was about 7 years old. My father took my sister and I to the Canadian National Exhibition, it's like the Stampede, only without horses, in Toronto. We lived in the country, so this was a very big deal for us. I was vibrating with excitement. My sister and I convinced my father that we should go on the Flyer, which is a giant roller coaster. It's super old-fashioned. It's like a massive train on a wooden track, and it clacks up and down these hills. My father didn't want to go on, so my sister and I waited in line. And when it was time for us to get on to the platform, ready to board the train, I was outside of my skin. There was probably a message that said, "Stay back until the train has come to a complete stop," but I couldn't hear it. And before I knew it, I was flying through the air at this train, uncontained joy, and started to descend in between two of these massive cars. The horror of my very serious mistake had fully registered when I felt two grips of steel underneath my arms, yanking me out from underneath this train. I think there was shouting too, but honestly, I couldn't hear anything. I was just filled with shame and fear. I know we got put on the train. I don't remember the ride. All I remember was how afraid I was. My father was very intimidating, and I was afraid that he would hear about this. I swore my sister to secrecy. My white pants were stained with grease up to my thigh, and we got off the train. My father didn't even notice. But I was forever muted by that, and it's probably a good thing. There's a moral of the story, which is, I want to tell you the moral, and then we'll get back to the gist of this. The moral is this: your greatest strength, in my case, enthusiasm, may also be your greatest weakness, and you need to learn how to direct it. Your greatest strength may also be your greatest weakness, and you need to learn how to manage it. So back to the main point. Many new graduates worry about getting a job in their discipline. But in my experience, your chosen discipline right now is not as important as having discipline. Literally, a little bit of self-discipline can save your life. And most importantly, it will allow you to focus on what you need to do, which is acquire skills with your new degree in hand. And you can pick up these skills in almost any field at first. You just need to practice and practice and practice and get good. At the start of your career, skills are the goal. Why? Because skills open doors. When I first graduated, I was applying for jobs very liberally, even those, I even included in the job search positions that were not in my discipline. My father had taught me how to copy edit. And based on that, I applied for a job in an art gallery at the Banff Centre. There was a test as part of the interview, and I got the job. Ready to apply my brand new degree in zoology. Those editing skills got me the job, and on the job I acquired more skills, and they built up my skills repertoire, and in a few years, doors started to open. Yes, the demand for skills changes all the time, but once you've learned one language, it's easier to learn another. Skills open doors. So I would encourage you to master something. You can't control the world around you, but you can control how you're going to contribute to it. Those skills end up being your risk mitigators. They are the things that build rockets. Skills are the things that keep astronauts alive. Skills, not risks. Skills turn into skipping stones, and those steps are different than leaps. The steps allow you to make a dotted line rather than a hope and a prayer to reach your goals. How many times have you applied for a job that you did not get and wondered, how could they not have hired me? I would be so good at that. The people doing the hiring need to see the dotted line. Those skipping stones, that repertoire of skills, will eventually lead you to new doors. Don't be afraid of following them wherever they may take you. Just keep moving. Don't worry so much about the field in which you get those skills. And then, this is the clincher. When a door is before you, open it. Say yes. And maybe that's where the risk comes in. It's not the risk of leaping into the unknown. It's the risk of saying yes to the as yet unknown. For me, it turned out that those communication skills, matched with my science degree, were exactly what I needed to do what I wanted to do with my life, which was share my passion for science with others. Those stepping stones all eventually formed a coherent path, but you can't see it when you're on it. Some people would shorten the life lessons that I've just shared with you in this single phrase: learn before you leap. But now we all know that I'm afraid of leaps, and I'm still very ambitious. So I've shortened it to this phrase, which is learn before you lead. I wish you all the best as you find your next steps, big or small, and stay safe. There's a roller coaster coming.
Thank you, Dr.